let's say, after you, Mandar, please tell us the great work that you are doing on the ground.
So I'm just going to introduce myself to everybody here. I'm currently running a non-profit organization that is consulting cities and looking at ways that can transform violence into love and peace. And the reason I'm doing this is a realization I had a few years ago that violence can happen anywhere, can happen anytime. It does not see our skin color. It does not see our bank balance. It does not even see our social, economic, or political views. So we have become so immune to violence that we are desensitized. We say that it will never happen to me because I live in this neighborhood. I'm a business executive, and that was a key moment of truth for me. That it can happen anywhere, and after it happens, then we come together with flowers and candles and hugs and say, "Oh my God, how did it happen? I'm sorry." So that realization really dawned on me as I was a corporate executive, flying 200 days a year, business class. And I quit my job. I produced a documentary film to start the conversation about peace. I hosted the parents from the Sandy Hook School, which was one of the darkest days in my adult life in the US. I hosted a group of victims of violence, of different types of violence, on a pilgrimage to learn the culture of India and walk the footsteps of Martin Luther King Jr. when he had come to India 60 years ago. And that film is now on Amazon Prime. So the first ask is, I don't know what distribution of documentary films means. So I just was told that you could put that on Amazon Video Direct, and that's what I did. So if there is a kindred spirit at a Netflix or an Amazon or a whatever that distribution industry is, this film exists. It's a labor of love. It's an unscripted documentary film. That's the first, I would say, introduction. What I did do is I converted that film into an educational module. So people use the film as a talking point, as a subject. And then I added the theory of why violence happens and a solution, which is managing the emotions, managing our negative emotions. If we don't manage our negative emotions, we either hurt ourselves or we go and hurt somebody else. So that module on peace and nonviolence education, I used my film as a conversation catalyst. So that's what an entrepreneur does. That's what I did. And I started bringing this to communities and schools and organizations as a curriculum. So it has now been screened in about 24 institutions, very good feedback. The module has been revised a few times, like everything else we learn by doing. I think now it's at a place where, I feel comfortable with it. So that's the second ask, is if you want to propose in your organization a discussion around mental health, well-being, peace, non-violence, then this module can help you start that conversation with your own organization to start with. And then the third ask is I'm going to show you a video of my work in Los Angeles, where I started looking at the problem of community and police relations. And we have now trained about 250 community members, police officers in this program of peace and nonviolence. And then last year, as everybody knows, George Floyd was murdered. And that created this huge need for promoting peace and nonviolence and equity and inclusion. So we have been doing our programs in cities with violence, proactively going there. And so that would be the third ask, is if you are interested in bringing our program, which I will show you now, in your own community, your own city, then we can partner and scale up the work that we are doing. So I'll just play this video and then we can have a discussion. Yeah. So as this video plays, I'm not going to focus too much on telling you what the problem is. I think America and the world knows what the problem is. So this is a solution, a way to solve the tension.
I'm an ex-gang member, so I was bred into violence. It was terrible around here, because that's what we live for, violence.
We just knew violence. When someone did something wrong to me, my reaction was to do something violent.
In collaboration with the Los Angeles Police Department and the Mayor's Office for Gang Reduction and Youth Development, the Cities4Peace initiative of the Art of Living Foundation and the International Association for Human Values facilitated the Nonviolence Ambassador Certification Program for the Harvard Park neighborhood in South Los Angeles that had experienced high rates of violence in the past. We invited LAPD police officers, community members, and former gang members who work as community intervention activists to participate in the program.
It's like the weight is being lifted off your back when you come from this experience. We carry a heavy load when we do community intervention work, and this lightens that load 100%.
Now my reaction is to forgive and say, you know what, maybe I can help him. Maybe that person is just having a bad day.
The program empowered these participants with profound breathing and meditation techniques to reduce stress, heal from trauma, and improve resilience.
We have learned that if we have peace within, we can definitely help others to get to the same place that we're in, which is peace without. And that is the extension of us, our communities, our homes, our facilities, our organizations.
Through interactive discussions and group processes, the program helped build strong bonds between LAPD officers and community members.
But one of the most important factors that I found is the interaction that I have with the residents and residents that live in this community that are experiencing the day-to-day violence that occurs here was one of the most phenomenal life-changing experiences for me, because they saw firsthand that we're human. Taking this uniform off, we face similar challenges.
Participants were trained to facilitate an introductory module on nonviolence so that they can share the benefits of the program and become ambassadors of nonviolence in their communities and neighborhoods.
I'm a role model whether I want to be or not. So a lot of people follow me down the negative path. So let me make that change and be that positive influence and provide tools for myself, because I can't change nobody else. So that's why I chose to do the nonviolence ambassador training program.
Today, supporting graduates and people that went through the 8 weeks, I'm watching you guys today interact. I have day interventionists talking to officers, talking to people from the community, and it's working. Right? Y'all ready? Right. Ready to do some work? Let's do this, man. This is what we love. So bring it to breath up. Yes. I just want to let you know I came up here to support you. To me and my brother, but we walk this path together, side by side. But we got to.
Because we did it here, I think we can do it.
So I am back, and Jyotsna, thank you for capturing all the asks. Let me just see. Yes, the film, the link of the film, I will put on the chat here.
And Mandar, please modify the ask. That's how I heard it and feels relevant for me. I would want to open up, Mandar, what would you like to do next? Should we open this up to see others?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let me just read the things you have written. I will peace module. You have written that peace module, and let me just put that in. That way people can browse the links when they ask me questions.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Ati, you did mention about Project Pukar for the Adivasi adolescents. Would this be a time to bring that into the space?
Well, I think right now it's just, from what I understand, received funding. So the project itself hasn't started, but it's really looking at, the root causes of gender-based violence in these tribal communities in India. And basically this whole sort of what supposedly a man is supposed to be and what a boy is supposed to become and what the role of women. And I think the whole idea is to try and take these people on a journey to show them that it's not as black and white as that. And very, very importantly, just when you're a boy and growing up to be a man, don't assume that you can sort of abuse the women in your community. You can't just sort of strike out and hit them if they haven't done what you want them to. And it could be anything as, it could be sort of around the house, it could be sort of sexual violence. So yeah, I can't sort of say much more about the success of the project because it hasn't run yet, but they've received funding to do this. And what they're going to do is they're going to start with a cohort of like about 80% boys, 20% girls, because they feel that girls have to be part of this journey too. And it's, the various activities and sort of teaching over the period of a year. And then there's a second year of activities. And then by the third year, they'll have selected leaders from the first cohort, and then they'll be taking on more people. So they really want the change to come from within the community.
Thank you for sharing that. Mandar?
Yeah, I'm done with putting the links. So if anybody has any questions or clarification or dots that connect.
I want to say thank you so much for doing the work. It's so essential. I'm particularly interested in the trauma that, just living a human life, it's already traumatic, right? Like just being born. We have dysfunctional families, dysfunctional education system, dysfunctional childhood, and sometimes religion gets in the way of your identities, and so much of this is already traumatizing, and subconsciously we are taught violence. It's embedded in our being, right? And we are all trying to find peace and love. So I definitely like love the work that you did. Thank you, Mandar, and thank you, Aarti, for sharing your project as well. It's very essential for the change to come from within and do that. I totally subscribe to that.
Yeah, very, very admirable work.
Yeah, for sure. I want to say I'm feeling a little bit heavy and also hopeful that people like you all are thinking about bringing peace at a collective and community level. Just soaking it all in. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just say a few words. The trauma that you mentioned is sometimes so subtle that we don't even think we have it. Yeah. and then it manifests in certain ways that we don't even know where it came from. So just like we brush our teeth every day for dental hygiene, right? We need to equip ourselves with tools for mental hygiene. Yeah, and regular practice helps. So the cornerstone of our modality of healing the trauma is based on the action that we are doing every day without even realizing it. You know what that is? We are all breathing. And there is a beautiful science that every emotion has a corresponding breathing pattern. So when we have anger, when we have sadness, when we have frustration, anxiety, our breathing changes. And this is irrespective of whether you are man, woman, Indian, Chinese, left-handed or right-handed, black, white, green, brown. So this is the fundamental methodology of our transformation toolkit, is empowering people with breath techniques that lead to a meditative state, but they transform the emotion. And it's a way for us to cleanse our emotions. So that's the program that we feel is the cornerstone of all types of education. And why is it relevant to GRC? Because if we are looking at regenerative everything, then we have to regenerate our own body, mind, spirit every day. We cannot go without that inner healing, because change making is not easy. Like the humps, they're not easy to navigate. And that is where this inner work will help. So the module that I have just shared, Be the Change, I request you just take 1 hour out of your life and see if it gives you the tools, the inspiration, some frameworks. There's a guided meditation, there are some breathing exercises, and do it as a family, because if you're a change maker, then you're also ignoring your own family because you're focused on changing the world. So we have made the module such that the family can have a discussion about mental health. And that's my request to all of you. Like, we are all change makers. Don't forget to take those deep breaths once in a while. And if the module you like, you feel inspired, then, that's how we would like our connection to be, is through inspiration. Any questions for me? Any clarification?
No, I don't. I will have a follow-up with you, Mandar, which I'm going to introduce something here, but I think we can stop recording if you're all okay.
Yeah.